Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. In this video, I wanted to talk about 10 things that you're gonna absolutely love when you take on coffee roasting. So it's been a while since I made one of these, but I'm having my coffee break, so cheers. I'm drinking this, of course, decaf. Number one, community. I'm still overwhelmed with how great the community has been in terms of how welcoming they are, how supportive they are. Everybody is just super supportive, encouraging. Occasionally you get one or two YouTube comments and that's really few and far between, especially with such a small audience that I have. From professionals to home roasters who are roasting on popcorn roasters to kind of like semi-big boy roasters like the Mill City 1 Kilo that I have. Everybody is really, really supportive. And I think that community is really great to have when you're first starting out. It's good to know that there's people behind you that want to see you succeed. Number two awesome thing that you're gonna love is you have a tangible product. Like, wow, ooh, smells good. I think when I was still roasting on my hot top and putting my coffee in a bag and then saying what it was and saying what roast level was at and where the origin's from. And before I used to handwrite every single thing, but I got such a kick out of that. And just having a real product versus like, I know like I come from the world of wedding photography and you have photos. It wasn't like this real product thing, you know, like, but it wasn't something that you could like tangibly hold. And sure, you can hold like a wedding album, but the fact that you could put your coffee in a bag, you have a label on it, you have all this stuff. It's something that you like see in a store and yet you're making it there, you know, at home and you're like, cool, like I have one of those. Number three, you're going to find out just so many cool ancillary things that you just didn't even know you even wanted to know about. I believe that when I first started to get into coffee, I was just kind of blown away, of course, by the process of you have to pick each Arabica bean by hand at peak ripeness in order for you to get the most out of that coffee, right? You can't just have a machine and shake it like a olive or something like that. Or even the difference between Arabica and Robusta, the caffeine levels. There was just so much I didn't know that I would enjoy knowing. There's just little things that you would just, you know, keep feeding. And that was really cool. Number four, it kind of leans into the next one, which is just this bottomless learning. And maybe sometimes that could be overwhelming and maybe that's kind of like a con, but I have really fell in love with that idea. And I knew that going in. I knew it was going to be very tough. I knew that there was just going to be just so much to learn. And it kind of felt like, I don't know if you're a gamer, but I feel like when there's a lot to take on, like say an RPG game where you have to role play, you have to start at the bottom, you're level 0, you don't know anything, you don't have any good weapons or tools, or your armor sucks, your health sucks, all that stuff like in a game. So like in coffee, you're starting at 0. Right? You're just a really, really basic, I guess, player in the game. And so every day you keep building and you keep grinding and you keep building experience and you level up. And the thing about a game is you reach level 100 and you're kind of done. And you can do that maybe in a matter of months, right? Or a couple of hours, maybe like 120 hours or something like that. With coffee, after maybe you say you put in your 10,000 hours when you become an expert, you know, quote unquote, I believe there's still going to be more to learn just because the land's always changing, coffee's always changing. You can never be completely accurate with coffee when you're roasting it. And so that tends to lead itself to this sort of bottomless learning. All of these variables, variations, you as a human being a factor in how your coffee roasts and how it even gets to the table of those that you want to sell to or even serve. It's just endless. It's endless. I feel like you're never gonna master it completely. And that is exciting to me. Number 5 is shareable. You know, like it's instantly shareable. You can roast a cup of coffee or a bag of coffee, right? Ship it to anywhere in the world and they can try it. And then that is pretty amazing. And when people come over and they taste your coffee, I think that's one of the biggest joys. And if they actually enjoy it, right? Which it has happened where they're like, oh, I'm not into that light stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm sad. But when you get to share this piece of you that you've put so much heart in or time, and even if it was only 12-minute roast, say it was only 12-minute roast or 11 minutes or whatever it be, it took time and experience and knowledge and money and all this stuff to get to that point and to bag it. Like a bottle of wine, like a bottle of whiskey, like any final product, it wasn't just that like single production time. It was all the time that you spent to get to this moment. And every day that I get to bag a bag of coffee, I've learned more, I've excelled more, I've gotten better, the coffee's gotten better. That's pretty amazing. And that leads us into number 6, which is you can only get better. I think as you learn coffee roasting theory, and again, it's just theory, it's really gonna be you there with your roaster, point blank, like if I do this, this happens, record, test again, try again, right? You only get better. I've only been roasting on my Mill City 1K. G is like a year and a half. I'd say year was just on the hot top, and it wasn't even a full year. I'd say it's maybe like 8 months or something like that. So I really just don't have a lot of hours in it. Yeah, I only feel that I'm getting better. Every time I step up to the roaster, I'm only getting better. I'm cataloging things away that I'm like, cool, I know how to do this. Now I'm stepping up into this new level. Oh, like something else changes. So fun. Another thing that's cool too, I think for roasters, like starting at home and learning how to roast, is you can really just start very small. You don't have to spend, least of all the money that I've spent. You definitely don't have to do that to capitalize on the benefit and the joy of roasting your own coffee. You can definitely start small, and even the popcorn roasters that look very simple, are very, very cheap, can create really good coffee. It's really just about managing heat and time. And if you can do that on that scale for yourself, and if it tastes good, like that's it. Like, and you could start really small and really benefit from roasting your own coffee and learning about coffee and theory and what coffee goes through in that way. Like, it's not expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive at all. With that being said, if you were to start small, even on a popcorn roaster, but you're understanding and you're really trying to understand roast theory, and maybe you're even documenting your data and rate of rise and things like that, you can transfer that information to bigger machines. If you wanted to take on a bigger machine or a more complex machine, maybe that did document data digitally, like say using Cropster or Artisan or something like that, or I use RoastPath by Mill City Roasters. And so it's definitely transferable knowledge. It won't be a one-to-one transfer of knowledge, like this does this, does this. Like say, for example, first crack to happen here or yellowing to happen here, and that should transfer over. For sure, it will not be wasted time. And I think that's kind of like the biggest question for people. Am I wasting my time with this little machine or this little tiny roaster if I really want to get to this other roaster but don't have the money right now? I think that's a totally great idea. Number 9 for me, it's a very quiet, contemplative, meditative task. I think it invites a sort of like a soul enriching thing that you can do in your life as you get older, as you start to age with things. There's a lot of like, in the world of the world that I come from is wedding photography. It's sort of a young man's game or a young woman's game because it's so physical, and coffee roasting can be physical, I think, when you start maybe say roasting with like bigger roasters or something like that, but they have machines to help you with that. You're standing most of the time, but that's not too long. I think maybe that's the most physical thing that you will be doing in terms of dealing with coffee as you level up and you go from a little roaster to a bigger roaster to a bigger roaster in terms of producing a lot of coffee. You're just standing a lot, right? Because you need to check certain things, but you're not having to physically manipulate your body in such a weird way for such a long amount of time, carrying heavy things all the time. It's just much less strenuous. And so the daily task of working with coffee, roasting coffee, bagging coffee is mostly going to be all on your feet, maybe with the head down a little bit, but that's about it. And number 10, finally, is that you can put your own unique spin and stamp on this thing, right? So you have this physical product, and now you can give it a logo. You can even give it a name. You can create your own blends from scratch. You can call it whatever you like. You can make the look of your packaging and your branding whatever you like, your website, your presence, you know, if that's something that you want to do. But you can get so creative, so innovative with it. Is whatever you want to make of it. For somebody who's creative or an artist, or maybe who you've never even delved into that kind of thing before, it's so liberating to know, like, this creation, right? It starts off here. It's a blank canvas. It's yours. You can put your stamp on it. You know, you can call it whatever you like, and you can have a story to it, and you can give it life, and you're really giving birth to this new thing in the world. You're like, this is called Black City Coffee. You know why? There's so much fun in that. And if you've never given yourself license to create something from scratch, which I think that's a lot of people who are maybe in the 9-to-5 business or always did what they were supposed to do. And if you get into coffee roasting, it's like, now you have free license, and it's really all yours to create from nothing and to call your own. I think that is so exciting, and I love that. So those are 10 things that after, I don't know, 2 years or so of roasting coffee, I really love, and I think that you'll really love too. Let me know in the comments if you could, you know, narrow it down to one thing. What's the one thing that you absolutely love about coffee roasting if you're already a coffee roaster? Share that in the comments, inspire somebody else to take up coffee roasting, and we'll see you next one.